Hi guys, this is Fernando. Uh, in the video tutorial that I have for you today, we are going to learn how to use the reflection layer inside of our material editor. And in the next video tutorial, we are going to cover how to use the refraction layer in terms of learn how to use those layer inside our material editor. So the first thing I want to do is just use this material here. Is the default. I have everything by default. It's just a gray color, and I apply this test material to my geometry. So I have kind of trophy that I used before in some training or some tutorial, and I want to use the same scene. I have two rectangular light and one studio setup. I want to make my first render in order to see how looks the material with only my reflection layer. And I'm going to click pause. I'm going to pause the video until. Okay, this is the final render. You can see we have a gray color, nothing cool, no reflection, but you can see the base. We have a black plastic base with some reflections, and we are going to add some reflection layer to this trophy here in order to see we can get some really nice material. Okay, um, in order our material editor have three main setting or three main parts. The area number one is the preview material preview area. The second area is the material list area, and the third area is the material options. So you control every single option of the material in the material options area, that is this one. Okay, I'm going to right click in the name of the material, create layer, and add a new reflection layer. By default, we have a white color in our reflections. That means that we are going to have a perfect reflections, a perfect mirror material. So if I click preview, I'm going to have a perfect mirror material. So that means that the reflection color, this option here, control the amount of reflections. If we have black color there, we are not going to have any reflection at all. It is like if we have only the diffuse layer. If we have kind of gray color, we are going to have reflection but not a perfect reflection. So if you use gray scale color or gray gradient color, you can control the amount of reflection. Of course that you can use a different color than gray, like green. You see preview, we have a weird color in your reflections. So I don't recommend you to use uh, a different color that black or white or gray, something between black and white. So I'm going to let white in order to explain one of the options that we call Fresnels. Fresnels is a real life effect. Almost every single material in the real life have the Fresnel effect. This M here, this small m here, means mapping. If you have a small m, that means that you don't have any mapping at all in the reflections. Remember this option here, control the amount of reflection. So we are telling VRay where we want the reflection and the amount of reflections. So you can control the reflection using colors, white 100% reflective, black 100% matte. So if you have a mapping or a texture with black and white color, the reflection is going to be defined by that texture. So let me explain this one. Okay, if I use a checker procedural mapping, so I have gray, I have white, but let me change the black color to white, to real black color. So I'm gonna use text and I'm gonna change to black. Now I'm gonna have white and black. If we use this procedural texture mapping to control the reflection, I'm telling VRay I want 100% reflective where I have the white color, and I don't want reflections where I have my black color, because black means made and white means 100% reflective. So I'm telling VRay the black area is going to be without reflections and the white area is going to be with reflections. So let me click OK, and in your preview you are going to have that the white area have a perfect mirror reflections, and the black area is going to have the material, the color of the material, because we don't have any reflection at all. So if I use a Fresnel's effect instead of a checker, we have this kind of gradient color starting from the center of the material with black. You can see here the parallel area is black and the perpendicular area is going to be white. So we are going to have less reflections in the center of the material and more reflections in the border or in the perpendicular area. Again, you can control the amount of the reflection in the perpendicular area by color, changing the color. If you use black, black and black, it's going to be made because we don't have any reflection at all. If you don't want too much reflection in the perpendicular area, you can use a gray color. But by default, we have a white color. This is the maximum amount of reflection that you can handle with colors. So let me make a preview and also a render. When I have a preview right now, let me change the color to something like red. So when I have a preview, I have a perfect plastic, a very glossy plastic, and this is very cool. In the center of the material, you should have less reflections than in the perpendicular area, so in the border. So I'm gonna make a render and pause the video to see my final result. Here we go. You can see here the final render, a red plastic material. Okay, we call this effect like a Fresnel effect. You can handle the same amount of reflection only with the reflection color, but you are going to have a flat color. So if you take up the Fresnel's effect, so now you have a flat reflections. If you reduce this value just very low, you can handle kind of red plastic, but this plastic will not have the variation the variation in the reflections depending on the point of view of the camera. This is going to have the same amount of reflection everywhere. We use flat reflection to create metals, but not to create plastic or other type of material. If you want to create metals, you can use a flat reflection. Even for metals, I use Fresnel's effects. So I told you guys that you can control the reflection with colors here, and white is the maximum amount of reflection that you can handle with color. If you want to create a metal, so you need more reflection, you should use the IR value. This IR value controls the bend of the rate, so if you increase the IR value, you can handle more reflections. For metal, I use from 16 to, I don't know, 20 or 22. Let me use 20 in these options. The refraction options control the amount of reflections in the parallel area, but because our parallel area is black, so it doesn't matter if I increase this value or if I let the value like that. If I change the color to gray, now I have some reflections, So in this case, if I have gray color, matter that if I increase this value or if I don't increase this value. But by default, the color is black, so you are not going to have reflection, so it doesn't matter if you change this value or not. So I'm gonna use 20. I'm gonna change this color. Oh, let me let the color like that. Okay, I'm gonna create a preview and a render to see the difference with kind of red metals. This is the final result. You can see they're kind of red metals, and this is because we increase the IR value here to get more reflections. This one should be 1.55 by default. Okay, so this is how you can control the reflections. And now I want to explain the filter. By default, we have a red color. I mean, not by default. I changed the color to red in my diffuse, and my color of the metals doesn't look like red. Looks like pink without a lot of reflection here. So I want a red metals. How can I do that? That uh, uh, effect happen, or that situation happen because my filter color or my reflections is white. If I want to create a kind of red metals or some other effect, you can use a filter color to tint the reflections or to change the color of the reflections. Right now it's white, but if I want to create a kind of red metals, I should change the reflections color to kind of red. Now, if you can see in my preview, my reflection is red and my material seems to be more red color. So I'm gonna make a render and pause the video again. Okay, now my material is red because my filter or my reflection are red. But here we have an M, so you can use a mapping as well to control the color of the reflection. So if I change the filter to checker, and then I use a different color for my checker, so it's right here, and my back color, and I use another a color. I just want to make an example to show you that you can control the reflection using a mapping, using a texture, or using any procedural mapping that we have here. So now my shaker is going to be like blue and orange. So my reflection is going to be affected by the blue and the orange color. You can see here in my preview how I have now reflections, blue reflections and orange reflections. So that's mean if you use a texture mapping here, bitmap or another kind of texture, you can control also the reflection by using a mapping, a texture. So I'm gonna make a render to see how it works, how it looks. So you can see here the effect with the checkerboard. I want to take out the checkerboard, the checker from the reflections. I want to talk a little bit about the glossiness. The glossiness is the blurriness of the layer of the reflections. Right now, we have our material are very smooth. They don't have any blurry, but we have two options here to control the blurriness of our material. The highlight glossiness basically is the glossiness or is a blurry in the highlight where the light hit the material or the surface, and the reflection glossiness is the blurriness in the reflection or everywhere in my material. So you have to way to control the highlight glossiness. If you use the reflection glossiness And if you want the same amount of reflection and glossiness or the same amount of blurriness in your material, you don't have to change the highlight glossiness. So let me make an example. One is a perfect smooth reflection. If I want to add a blurry, I have to reduce this value. So let me use 75.75. Make a preview. So now I have some glossiness or some blurriness in my material, and I want to create a render. Here you go, this is the render. You can see here how we have blurriness in my material. Now my material doesn't look like a plastic or a metallic, smooth metallic anymore. So now it looks like a anodized material. So this affects is because we add blurriness in our reflections. You can add blurriness only to the highlight here, so you can apply 70.75 and having a perfect reflection to add only blurriness in the highlight. I will not make a render because we don't have too much time this video, but anyway, before explain how the other options works, I want to point out that you can use a texture to control where you want blurriness in terms of color. Black is gonna be no blurriness, and white is gonna be 100% blurriness. So some users try to control the reflection through this guy and this option here, the reflection glossiness. The only thing that this option control is the blurriness. Seems that you have less reflections because you have blurriness, but you are not controlling or you are not changing the amount of reflections. You are changing or you are adding glossiness, and that's why it seems to have less reflections, but this is not the correct option to control the amount of reflections. In order to control the amount of reflection, we talked already in the first video that you have to go here and control the amount of reflection in the perpendicular area, and also you can use a texture mapping to control the amount of reflections inside the perpendicular area or the perpendicular options. So what happens if I want to create a copper material? So let's create a copper material. The first thing that I have to do is change the base color to use kind of copper one. You can see now how my material is copper, but my reflection is red. So I have to change my reflection as well to kind of a light copper, something like that. It's depending on the color of your material. But anyway, let's do that. Now we have a copper material. Very easy and very fast. Let's create a render to see what we have. Okay, pause the video. Here we go. This is my copper material. You can see, very nice, very sweet. What happens if I want to create gold material? So let's go here, change to have a gold, kind of dark brown. Brown color like that, and this color is going to define the color of my gold. Let's say that I want that kind of color of the gold. Preview. Now this is my gold. Very easy, very quick. Render to see what we have. Here we go. This is my goal. What happens if I want to? I need to have a very blurry goal. So let me decrease the area value. I mean the glossiness to 0.5. We have a very blurry goal. This option here, the subdivision, control the noise or the quality of the glossiness. You can see here how my material is very noisy. Well, if you increase this value, let me say 32, you are going to have more quality or less noise in the material. Okay, you can see here less noise. Okay, nice. I'm gonna make a render to see what we have. This is my call. You can see the nice blurry reflection that we have. Okay, the other options that I want to show you is the anisotropics. Anisotropics is to stretch the reflections. Let me increase the glossiness to a 0.85. The anisotropics is to stretch this reflection here. If you use a negative value like minus 0.8, you're going to stretch. Let me reduce the quality to speed up the preview. So if you use negative value, you are going to stretch the reflection in the y-axis. So it's going to be vertically. If you change or if you use a positive value, 0.8, you're going to stretch the reflections horizontally or in the x axis. This is very useful to create a brush metals and a brush material. Right now, this option here should rotate the effects, the isotropics effects, but it doesn't work. For example, if I type 45, I should see the reflection in the 45 angle, but right now it's the same, it's horizontally, like in the x-axis, so it doesn't work for now. It's a bug, so we should fix that later. But I want to show you the new shader type that we have is warp. The warp shader type is very good in combination with anisotropic to create brush metal. And in this part of the video, I want to create one of my favorite material. Is a brush metal material. So I'm going to use the same test material, but I want to change the color to kind of dark black or gray by 50. Also, I want to roll back the filter to 50 because we are not going to need the filter. In the higher value, we are going to use 16 for the higher value in both, because I'm going to increase a little bit the parallel color in order to have more reflections in the parallel area. So let's set 50 as well. So I just want to increase the reflections in the parallel area, and in my perpendicular area I want to use brush texture in order to control where we have or where we need reflections. So I'm gonna use a new reflection. Let me go to materials, VRay for final, VRay for sketching material, steel brush, and I'm going to use this kind of brush this kind of brush texture. So I'm gonna use this brush texture in my reflections, and also I want to decrease the gamma, or to use the inverse of the gamma in order to having a darker texture mapping. So this is what I want. Now I have my layer. In order to control my reflections, I have a brush material, a brush texture, and I want to reduce these guys a little bit more than the glossiness, so I'm going to use 0.75 and 0.90 in my glossiness, reflection glossiness. And also I want a negative anisotropic, so I'm going to use negative 0.8. So this is what I have or what I want. And also, in order to having a more variation in my material, I'm gonna use a bump map to that kind of depth. So I'm gonna use a bump map here, bitmap, bump map. I'm gonna use exactly the same bitmap that I use for control my reflections. Okay, and because I don't want too much bump, I'm gonna use 0.01 in my bump. Okay, this is the way how we create the brush material. You can see I have the material here ready created, so we need to uh, use the mapping in my Fresnels, in the perpendicular color. Also we need to the glossiness 0.75, and in the reflections 0.89 reflection and 0.65 in my highlight. The anisotropics FX is negative 0.8. The subdivision, I increase the subdivision in order to get more quality. See how this is more quality than this one? It's because I have a subdivision here and I have 32 subdivision in this one. Okay, in order to control the texture mapping, I add a second layer, second diffuse layer, in order to control the texture mapping, because SketchUp do not control or do not have texture mapping or UV mapping until you add texture inside the diffuse layer. Okay, I add the diffuse layer and I make this layer completely transparency in order to see the layer below it, and also I add the texture mapping here, the same texture mapping. Okay, I have this brush metal already made. See the texture mapping in the top layer. I have this layer with a color white to hide the layer, and the other color in the diffuse. Okay. I don't have time to show you the render or to make the render, but this is the final render. You can see the nice brush and warm reflections. This is a very realistic material, and it's very cool and very nice for to create fish, or to create scenes, or to create whatever you want. Okay, this is a video this is the last video of this reflection layer. The next video, the next 2 weeks or the next Tuesday, we are going to have one to create a refraction layer. So this is Fernando, and see you next time. Bye bye.